It turned green. Sometimes I love the process of having a piece through the city. People have very strange reactions to it. It wakes people up from their lives.
We're going to patinate today.
Disorganized, but in a very positive manner, so I'm trying out this new way of working. My friend called it the shotgun technique. And it's where you have a lot of ideas, but you don't interpret them too much.
I love this sculpture also. I should almost show you the sculpture that is patinated with my P. Just down this road. Okay, let's go. So it's a really cool sculpture that was made by Kirsten Justesen, a big feminist artist. And she made this sculpture for the anniversary of this building, made for women that was not able to have help by doctors or who experienced violence at home. And the government wanted to break this building down in the 70s, and with the Red Stocking movement in Denmark, they fought for this building, and now it's like a really important landmark, and it's still working with this today, changing the laws of violence against women. And she wanted female sculptors from the same art academy that she went to pee while they have their period. And it's a very old way of patinating bronze. It has also different quotes. It says, "No female fight without a class fight. Stop violence against women. I am all women. I don't take no for a no. Women building for women. She gave us a home when there wasn't other people who wanted us." I think it's a very powerful sculpture. And you can see the building over there.
What do you feel when you touch the clay?
Now it's a very circular movement, but I remember the first time I touched clay and worked with it, something clicked inside of me. It's so ancient in a way. It's just dirt. It comes from the ground, and it's like your hands already know what to do before you started working with it. You put it in the oven and you see what happens, what comes out of the fire. We're all a puzzle of our epigenetics, our socialization and upbringing, and also the choices that we made for ourselves. And some parts of it will maybe always remain a mystery. So it's also okay that some things come across as more clear than others. Maybe some people enjoy the mystery. I certainly do. never started with a very clear idea of I want to make artifacts, but it has been my interest for a very long time to work with the history of these materials that I'm working with. And I think there is something both very spiritual and also very just human to, it's a part of our history and our culture as a whole, to work with clay, to work with metal. And there's a lot of stuff that has been done that says something about the state of humanity at that point. And that interests me a lot. And then reading about that and trying to understand it, it reflects itself in my work as maybe something ancient.
Here it is. These three women in bronze dancing in a wave of stone, of jade stone. Imagine sculpting that. And she was a big inspiration for a piece I made that was called It Was Never Casted in Her Lifetime. And I think it's a reference to so many women that was never able to work in bronze, because bronze was a media that belonged to men and sculptors. Hot.
I really like the patina, but I don't feel like I'm done with it. I've exhibited once, but I also like the idea that a piece is never really finished and you can rework it and put it into a new context. At the exhibition I was putting it on the floor. I didn't have time to hang it up. Hearing the feedback of how people related to that was also interesting for the next time I'm going to exhibit it, that there was meaning behind it being on the floor. Power getting knocked down, like, you know, being something you could walk into or kick with your feet, almost. Okay, let's go. I also like the idea of working with symbols that doesn't necessarily belong to one place. I mean, that was Carl Jung's interest field also very much, to travel and to see that how the snake, for example, has showed up everywhere in the world without people being in contact with each other. And he then used his idea about the collective unconsciousness to say that we all have this very deep humane fears and attractions to different animals, and therefore also represent maybe similar attributes. Very snaky all of a sudden. Maybe that's why you feel like you've seen it before, because it does point towards a direction of something that is already existing. Maybe just not necessarily in the contemporary art world. And I think my hope is maybe that when people see that, this connection that we feel that becomes, in a way, universal would also connect people to the idea of there not being any difference between us. What is the divine? I think a lot of cultures and a lot of religions worked with creating objects and spaces in an architectonal way that made you feel connected to something bigger than yourself.
Her grave now.
But no digging.
No digging.
Okay.
This time. Sonja Ferlov was a Danish sculptor who lived in the beginning of the 20th century. She died in around 1980s, and yeah, a huge inspiration. Her relation to art and the creation, and I found out that she was buried here, so I started visiting her grave sometimes.
Oh, there's a little creature here. Oh, look! I don't know the name in English. Marihøne. Do you know the name of that? When I discovered her, I was in a lot of doubt around the direction of what I was doing, and if one really felt like I had something important to say and with my work. And when I discovered that she was struggling with a lot of the same thoughts, it became a reminder not to judge oneself too much. And that in the face of a very harsh work environment like the art world can be sometimes, there is enough of other people judging you. Maybe you don't have to judge yourself so much or so harshly. So it also became a reminder of just continue to work. Be kind to yourself in the process.
That's what the wisdom is actually all about, that it's not something outside of ourselves really, it's something that we have inside ourselves and that we can tune into. It's pointing towards this very universal need of understanding the deeper questions and meaning of life and why we're here. But there's not a lot of time to think about that if you have a very busy life with work and you have to provide for your family and go to work and also be social with your friends and your family, and in the end this speed that we are living in right now, it doesn't create that space for you to be with yourself.
When you're sitting, sometimes you forget to look at it from a different angle.
Is that something you think about to maintain the freedom you're currently having, or?
Completely. And I think it's going to be a constant reflection. It is. I don't think you find the answer and then you just continue down that direction. I think you need to continuously ask yourself that question if you are living according to your own values, and if the work you are doing is both giving you the freedom of self-development and reflection, but also the freedom within a system, the way it works. You know, I had my own studio before I went to school, and I washed the stairs to be able to pay my rent there, and you know, had to work with the same clay many times and revive it because it got dry. So I think being in a very privileged position of going to school now, I'm still very happy that I know what is waiting for me on the other side, and that I kind of already experienced it to a certain degree. Because you learn that very few things make you really happy, and you keep doing those things. You learn how to cook amazing food with not a lot of ingredients, or how to make art by getting your own clay, or like there is always ways to maintain that freedom.
I just remembered this one question that I had on the way here, and I haven't asked it yet. So my question is, if you believe in perfection in life or in art.
What is perfection? It goes back to the understanding. If perfection is having flaws and making mistakes, then that creates a fuller picture and a more dynamic idea of not only what you create but who you are, then yes, that form of perfection I believe in. But if perfection means no flaws and no faults and no doubts, then no, because it's not only a part of the process, it's a part of the process of life. Very often something comes out of the oven or the fire or these processes that has other powers in them than me, where in the moment I see it, I'm shocked. But to learn to accept that also becomes a personal quest. To learn to like something that you initially don't like. That is also the alchemical process. But how often doesn't the point astray? How often do you not have an initial idea and realize that you learned so much that whatever you had as an initial idea will never be what you realized in the end? It doesn't take away the value of what you created, it's just different. So to accept that difference and to work with it and to learn from it and to integrate that again would be as close to perfection as possible.
Can you read it?
Yes, I can. It's called The Hourglass. Consider this small dust here in glass, by atoms moved. Could you believe that this, the body, was of one that loved? And in his mistress's flame, playing like a fly, was turned to cinders by her eye. Yes, and in death, as life unblessed, to have expressed, even ashes of lovers find no rest.
Can we talk again?
We can. I love dogmas. To put up rules
for yourself and then see what happens within that space of time. I feel like I'm moving between this. I know exactly what my process and my mission is with this whole charade, and then other times I feel completely lost. And it's so healthy to be lost, because it's in this moment of feeling completely lost and uncertain that you're forced to reflect and rethink and allow something new to come out of it. And I think by working on oneself, you can really learn to distance yourself from it and validate yourself in what you do. But a big part of creating is also creating for others, because ultimately it is to be experienced and seen by others than yourself. But I think that it's a bit arrogant sometimes just to make it for yourself, because I think that artistic role is also a responsibility. Mm-hmm. You have this position in society where you can actually be a part of it and yet also be an outsider. And in very few areas of our society you're able to do that. Yeah. To actually use that and say something about the time we're living in, or the way we're living, how we're treating the world. Tiny coffee. It's a strong coffee. It's a really strong coffee.
Is this finished?
Yes. It is.